as the panel knows, and I'll tell Latanya, you saw, well, I don't know if she saw the song, but I have a 10-year-old daughter. Um, my husband and I were married for mm, probably 7, 8 years before my daughter was born. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which means I have cysts around my ovaries, which basically when I was younger, they were telling me that, if you do get pregnant, it'll be a miracle, and then as I got older, they were like, well, maybe you can get pregnant and it's just going to be super hard for you to get pregnant. And I think when you talk about what a person experiences with the infertility issues, the frustration of dealing with all these different people in the medical community, because my struggle was I would find like an OBGYN that I just adored, and then it was like, oh well, they're not here anymore, or you have to see this person. And so that was frustrating because you're telling your story over and over again, which can be very traumatizing. I have irregular periods. I have miscarried and didn't even know I was pregnant. So I lost the pregnancy like back in 2004. Um, my labor was my pregnancy was very difficult in the beginning. I couldn't keep any food down. I was still having my menstrual cycle, which was scaring me because I didn't know if it was the baby, if it was me, if it was, whatever. And so it was just a continuous run of tests. It was being afraid, because I didn't want to be that person who, and I've heard those stories, and Latanya, I've heard you share about it as well, just conceiving and then either something wrong with the baby or losing, the pregnancy. So yeah, it was a long winding road for myself and my husband. I mean, one of the biggest things when we, talked about getting married was we both wanted a family. And so when you've been married, for like 7, 8 years and there's no kids, you know, um, it's like it's very trying on your relationship as well. And my husband had issues as well. So now, we're back and forth, both going to the doctor. Like what, his issue was he has like sleep apnea, and there is a connection between like low testosterone, sleep apnea, um, diabetes, stuff like that. So it was also like the anxiety of I don't want nothing to be, like putting him at risk of actually dying. So we learned about him having sleep apnea and all of these things all at the same time. So it was really scary. But I think what helped was we communicated with each other throughout the whole thing. Like I would go to the doctor with him when he would go see his doctor. He would go to the doctor with me. We encouraged each other. Um, but it's definitely an issue. I think there is a lot of emphasis placed on like what women can do to conceive, but for some reason there's not like a lot of emphasis on public emphasis on what men can do to help that process. Because
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Like you know, we started paying attention to what we were eating, exercise, diet, stuff like that, and just resting. That was the biggest thing. We both had stress high stress level jobs at that time, so that played a part in it as well. So you
Hmm.
know but
Okay.
fortunately for us, we stayed at it. I didn't have to do in vitro. They were adamant about me just like really reducing, like my workload, changing my diet. I
Okay.
think what happened was I stopped worrying about it, and I remember the day that I just stopped having so much anxiety about it, and we just started traveling, having fun, and then bam, you don't have the flu, Miss Mosley. You're pregnant. So this day of my, I just had a moment. And
So
Ashley, you already made me cry one time today, so
sorry. I know I should have prepped y'all for a couple things,
it was beautiful
including you,
though.
Latanya. I thought about prepping you for that song earlier today,
No,
and
it
then
was
it
beautiful
escaped
though.
my mind.
So it was
But
just a string of emotions going through the
yeah,
whole process.
yeah. So
Mhm.
you guys' story ended positively. You guys
Right.
have
It did. It
struggles,
did.
but your mothers, so that's a blessing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cannon, what about you? Do you want to share?
Well, that I didn't have. Fortunately, I didn't have any experience like that. My son was an unplanned pregnancy when I was I had him a month before my 19th birthday is when I had my oldest son. He just made 20 in May. In this month, the beginning of this month, he just made 20. Um, and then from there, I just I wasn't sure if I wanted any more kids, or I definitely didn't. I definitely was apprehensive about having more children because I didn't want, because me and his dad, we did get married. We were together for a little while, but then we split up, and I just did not want to, be having a bunch of kids out here with a bunch of different people, raising them alone. I didn't want that. So I was always kind of like, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, whatever. It was never anything that I was racing to be like, oh, I want more kids. I need more kids, or I need to get married, or I need to do this stuff. But it just so happens that my husband made, what was it, 6 years ago? Yeah, 6 years ago, he came and proposed to me, and we got married. And then shortly after that, I got pregnant. I got pregnant with my daughter. We got married in March, and I got pregnant with her in September. And what's funny is that we weren't even living in the same city. Like, he was still living in Chicago, and I was living in Atlanta. So we used to only see each other like once a month. So I know the exact day that I got pregnant.
When you all proposed, or when he proposed?
Yeah, when he proposed, he was still living in Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, he came
Wow.
and surprised me on New Year's Eve.
Aww.
He flew up and proposed on New Year's Day, and we got married that March. He was still living in Chicago. I was still here.
Wow.
And yeah, we used to like visit each other back and forth like at least once or twice a month. We would see each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other topic. Long distance relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
here.
we did the long distance thing.
Darwin, so you guys didn't really have fertility issues. I want to ask you guys.
Well, I had some fertility issues.
Okay.
My jumps are just too strong. I was getting women pregnant on birth control, and it was just like, oh my god, I need something to tone this stuff down. Like,
You
my
are
super
so
soldiers was just being too super. So
Oh,
that's just a
Lord.
big problem.
Ashley, you always fall for it. You be like, yeah, and then I just